So, one thing we were saying though is, what if you were providing value and it just so happened you were on a more accelerated path, really providing value and taking advantage of the market as it was, and you were educated about it enough that you could, so you're not taking advantage of people, but just taking advantage of the situation in the market, and the result is you're gaining wealth faster. Is that out of harmony with principles?
Let me ask you, take an example. Let's take J.K. Rowling, who produced Harry Potter series. Now, did she get rich quick, or was it slowly?
No. See, and that's the thing. She came to be famous quickly, and her books sold quickly. But did she really get rich quick? How long was she creating Harry Potter? How long did that process go? And that's kind of what I was just thinking when you were saying that, because we think, okay, Bill Gates. Well, that was pretty amazing. That was get rich quick. And yet, it wasn't, because those were ideas and things that he processed for a long time before the market took hold of it. And I was thinking of another one. Dave Ramsey is another one that says, yeah, I got rich overnight. Right. You know, are you familiar with Dave Ramsey? He had his office in his home for a long time and did everything without debt and grew very slowly. But then what we saw was, you know, success overnight, when it really took him like 10 years.
That's an interesting idea. So maybe sometimes when we're thinking get rich quick, we're not, people who are doing it principle based, you're not thinking about all the things that went into the preparation.
All the patience and the using the money, you know, like for Dave Ramsey, using the money that he had, or J.K. Rowling, she was rejected. You know, they told her no kid would ever read her book. Before she found a publisher that did publish, and too bad for that other publisher. They're, you know, kicking themselves down the road right now. But I don't think it's possible to get rich quick by principles.
Well, I brought her up because did she produce value, and was it in keeping with principle? What principle did she break? You know, she put something that there was huge demand for eventually, because it was marketed well, it was interesting, and people were willing to pay for it.
Sure.
Did she break any principles? I don't know what they are.
I think I think he's talking a very, very specific thing here when he's talking about get rich quick schemes.
Investment
Kind of schemes. I don't think he's talking about really even the length of time that it takes you to acquire wealth. I think he's talking about using credit that's not backed by, or debit, that's not backed by anything, and you have no idea how you're going to pay it back, and it's really roll of the dice. It comes back to the whole thing of quote unquote legal tender.
Yeah.
That's not backed by anything.
Yeah.
It's just money that they go to the printing press and print off. Legal
So
tender.
tell me what that's called again. I know there's futures. I know they call it futures, but there's something else that they call that when they're using money that's not even really there.
Fiat.
I had this
Fiat.
discussion with
What is
huh?
It's fiat currency.
Fiat.
No, that's not
Not
what I
that?
was thinking of. For the example, the stock market, when they buy stock based on a future price and they're using, I can't remember what they call it.
Derivatives.
I got it.
You might be talking about derivatives. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's just futures that I'm talking about. But my dad and I had a really interesting conversation. I had a ton of questions about this whole thing, and my dad, it was during my mom's surgery, and so as I was reading this, I was like, Dad, asking him these questions to try to get his mind off of what he was really thinking about. One of the questions was based on that. But I don't have it marked. Either I asked him and didn't write it down. I remember talking about that. Very subject. It's not here. Sorry.
So, Bonnie, for the structure, were we going to go over the ask our questions? How do you want us to?
Well, I'll tell you what I have on my outline, and we'll figure out what we want to do, because we want to wait for Deanna to do the very next part I was going to do was to go over the questions, the types of questions that Audrey talks about, and then share one question each or so that we brought from the material and discuss it. And then if we have more time, we can skip over that for now and come back to it and do some of these others. One of the assignments was to make a list, as we read Whatever Happened to Penny Candy, of all the economic principles we found. So we can talk about that. You know, I don't really actually care. I'll just tell you the choices of what we could talk about, and we'll pick what we want to do next. Another question she asks is, do you feel differently about money, the American dollar, and our national bank after watching this lecture and reading Whatever Happened to Penny Candy, and what has changed?
How can you not? How can you not?
And then another thing that she talked about was examples among the founders of having public and private virtue. And so we can discuss any of those three things or do our questions next. So,
I have a really dumb question.
okay.
As I started to write down the second principle, I thought, how is a principle different than a fact? Can you go back and tell me what a principle is again? Because as I wrote it down, I thought, is this really a principle? And I remember you saying that before as you were looking at things. Is this really a principle? What is the difference between a principle and a fact? Is there a difference?
I think from everything that I've read, because I've asked Mike Gazelle that question so many times since I first met Audrey, and she said, look for principles. What's a principle again? I never knew that I didn't know what a principle was until she told me that I was supposed to look for principles. But the thing that I have in my head over and over as a definition is, it's true of all people, places, all times. It would be true no matter what. So facts,
This is the truth.
it's like facts may be principles, but sometimes facts are just applicable to right here and now. What do you think?
Well, yeah, there's a French mathematician who said it this, well, I can't quote it
Just a minute.
verbatim, but